Los Angeles, and welcome to episode 330 of Defenders of the Bank. This is the recap of LAFC's win on the road against FC Skyline Chile, or just plain FC Cincinnati. That huge road win, Defenders, helps us clinch our sixth postseason in 7 years, and we will still be able to hunt for another MLS Cup. Now, quick apologies to give to all of you. It is a hashtag blame Philly moment as to why we couldn't pod yesterday. I was the lead broadcaster for the USA-Mexico MASL indoor soccer rules game that was played at Toyota Arena that featured a Marco Fabian-led Mexico side taking on a United States men's national team led by none other than Brek Shea. That dude is pretty darn tall. There were two games, a men and a women's game at 1:30 and 4:30. And Jonathan Reimer and I got to do both. Damn near wiped me out. But here we are. For your auditory and visual needs, we do it all for the millions
and millions
of Defenders of the Bank listeners. And look, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all your support, these 330 episodes, plus however many, one more sleeps. Now, I'm sure there are some new people listening, so got to give a couple of intros. My name is Christian Filament, otherwise known as Flamingo Philly, or as I have in my box right there, Philly the Flamingo, no longer the Fireball, and I'm shelving the Platinum for a little bit. More on that later. Joining me, though, is the mouth of the South Bay, Mr. J.R. Liebert. How you doing, buddy? You are also known as
the Scarf. What is good, Defenders Nation? I don't think Brek Shea and the U.S. national team has been said in the same sentence since 2015, the last time he played. What is good to everybody in the chat? Bam. Yeah, I guess it's not good evening. It's good afternoon for you in Australia. And for all of you listening, whether it's on YouTube, live, watching us in the flesh, we're sorry, or all on all of our other social media channels and avenues, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, or anywhere else where you get us. Thank you for being a part of episode 330, Defenders of the Bank. We're calling it 3 surprising points from the Queen City. The chat already upset that we are calling it surprising, and I love it, calling us out on it. But you know what, Philly, we saw us play over the last 5 MLS matches. It was certainly surprising. And this, Philly, I got to say, you say hashtag blame Philly, but I guess I'm also going to sort of give you credit. You did say somebody was going to win this match 2-1.
Yeah, I did, and I stuck with my guns. It was going to be 2-1, and the team that was going to score first would win. I'm playing the lotto right now. But I don't think the millions are upset because of the fact that we call this a surprising win. I know we have people that out there listening in Charlotte that are saying, why are you calling Cincinnati the Queen City? Charlotte is actually known as the Queen City. And while Cincinnati might lay claim to that name going back to as far as 1819, well, Charlotte, I believe, was called that a little earlier, if I'm not mistaken. And it was actually named after Queen Charlotte, who was the queen and wife to King George III. So Charlotte dating back much longer than the city of Cincinnati. That's why people are really upset, Scarf.
I don't know. Look, you go back to it, and look, I did a little bit of research, right? It was Xavier University that went back and redid and looked at the name.
They're biased. They're out of Cincinnati.
1819, when they were called the Queen of the West, even though they were founded in 1788. Look, it's one of those things that I'm fine with giving it to Charlotte because we got a lot of hospitality from Cincinnati. No need to be upset at anything that happened at FC Cincinnati, maybe with the exception of Sergi Palencia's yellow card, which means we won't see him in the match against St. Louis. But Philly, let's back up real quick. This is episode 330, and we have a ton of stuff to talk about in our notes and our banter. But can we just take a second? I know we're an LAFC pod, but the New York Metropolitans clinched a playoff spot in one of the most New York Metropolitan games you'll ever see, and then we accidentally won the damn thing. Unbelievable, Philly. You and I were texting back and forth all day. That first game, down 3-0, up 6-3, down 7-6, up 8-7. Oh, my God. It was It was an incredible day to be a Mets fan. Unreal. There it is.
Yeah, you bet your sweet dollar. And hang on.
It's not close enough. They can't hear it. There it is.
Bring your kitties, bring your wives. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball. All right, enough of that. Yeah, I'm thrilled to think how this team started the season, how we had to utilize McDonald's own Grimace to do anything. I know y'all want to see Hello Kitty, but today you will see Francisco Lindor. And I will never say anything bad about Francisco Lindor again as I continue on with my Carrot Top, the man of the props in the LAFC pod fam. We keep Hello Kitty sleeping tonight. We'll bring on Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, look, we're not going to talk much about the Mets. We know that you all, over the course of 330 episodes, have gotten to know an awful lot about what we do and love outside of the black and gold. Obviously, black and gold is what we bleed, but there are certain parts of us that also bleed a little bit of blue and orange of the New York Metropolitans for Philly. He also, the New York Islanders are a big deal for him. He every now and then will bring up, Indiana University. And you know what? I love to bring up the two times that we can ever talk about them doing things well athletically. I'll talk about LMU. I don't know how often that happens, but we'll take it. But we know that you guys, while you might absolutely abhor me ever bringing up Tom Brady, you do every now and then put up with our Mets fandom, and we appreciate it. Episode 330, Philly, area code 330. Akron, Ohio, and Canton, Ohio. Akron, of course, once the rubber capital of the world. My favorite part in doing a little bit of research about Akron, Ohio, Philly, it was named both the 94th most dangerous city and the 229th most safest city in the United States at the same time by the same study, which is pretty great. And we all know, Philly, LeBron James, the favored son of Akron, Ohio. But do you know which other top, I'll say, 10 to 15 player all time in NBA history is also from Akron? I did not know this until today.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I mean, I rattled it off. Of course I knew that.
I think you read it on my thing.
What thing? Oh, please. When do I ever read your notes?
But yeah, no, Steph Curry. I had no idea. The Black Keys, the Cramps, the Pretenders, lots of cool things to come out of Akron. But Canton, of course, birthplace of the NFL, the 25th president, William McKinley, and Marilyn Manson, birthplace of those three things. And
you're forgetting one more key thing. Maynard James Keenan, lead singer of the band
for sure. But according to Wikipedia, both Akron and Canton claim to be the birthplace of Thurman Munson, so I have no idea what to do with that information.
Larry Zonka's from there, too. You remember Larry Zonka.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Football Foo is asking St. John Bosco or Mater Dei. Football Foo, I went to Loyola, so neither Loyola, not St. John Bosco or Mater Dei. That's where I went. Yeah, lots of fun stuff about Akron and Canton. We're 9 minutes in. We've digressed and diverged all over the place. One last thing, Philly, a tough day in the sports world. One of the best humans to ever also be one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the NBA, Dikembe Mutombo, passing away due to brain cancer at just 58 years old. I don't know of an NBA player who has maybe done more for his people or for the whole continent of Africa, but certainly for the country of the Congo than Dikembe. It was devastating to hear of his passing due to a brain tumor. And however you feel on whatever side of the fence, the one thing that everybody can agree on is, as a player, Pete Rose is in the Mount Rushmore of great players of all time, both passing today. Pete Rose at 83 and Dikembe Mutombo at 58.
Yeah, and just Chris Christopherson yesterday at 88, and I think on Friday, Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter.
Oh,
she was old in the movie Hook when you and I were kids. So yeah, I mean, a lot of awesome, tremendous people have passed, and but they got to live their lives. When you see somebody like a Chris Christopherson going to 88, you think that's a shame, but he lived his life. When you see somebody like a Dikembe Mutombo, unfortunately passing to something like a brain tumor at 63, you think life is harsh. Either way, the lesson to be learned there is to go out there, get off your ass, and do what it is that you've been postponing for so long. Take that trip. Go see that band. Go to the gym. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Today's the only day you got. So these are always lessons in life to help motivate us and do what we can to help enrich and better our lives. Because the last thing any of us want to do is, God forbid, get to 63 or 88 and have a bunch of regrets. Know for a fact that nobody on the list that we had mentioned does have the regrets. Pete Gross doesn't even regret gambling, just that he got caught. So lesson to be learned right then and there. But we also, while we're celebrating deaths, we also got to celebrate a birthday scarf. Happy 38th birthday to Olivier Jonathan Giroux, turning 38 years old today. Not that much younger than us, but a hell of a lot more fit, that's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to mention that or not, seeing that, he might be moving in at some point to Film Monster Studios. But either way, happy birthday to Olivier Giroux. Let's get into this day in LAFC history and some news and notes. This day in LAFC history is a quick one. The match occurred on September 28th. And September 28th, 2018, during our first year of play, EA Sports releases FIFA 19. You guys remember FIFA? FIFA was fun. And it included LAFC for the first time. Carlos Vela was an 81 in the game. And of course, unfortunately, for the first several seasons, no Bank of California Stadium. That is this day in LAFC history. Philly, some news and notes. Real quick, one thing I want to add that came out today. Congrats to Lewis O'Brien for making the starting lineup and for Denis Bouanga for being on the bench of the team of the match day 35. So good on both of them. And that's all I've got for news and notes. Philly, you got anything for us?
No, I just wanted to recognize Giroud turning 38. It's crazy. It's crazy when you have players of that age competing still at a high level. And regardless of what you feel about Major League Soccer is great. It's still a high level. You still got to be a damn good athlete to compete in it. This isn't some Sunday Beer League 1996 MLS version 1.0 nonsense. And again, no disrespect to those athletes, but the fact that he could still go out there and do his thing, and he gets an assist, by the way, barely, by the way. And we're going to talk about that when we start recapping the game. But yes, 38, awesome stuff for Giroud. I don't have any other news and notes. There's plenty of other non-LAFC football, soccer, sports-related things we could talk about, but we're already 13 minutes in. Let's get into the get into the meat and potatoes of all of this.
That's right. Real quick, check in on LAFC 2. Since we last checked in on playoff-bound LAFC 2, they've dropped 2 matches, both on the road and both by a score of 2-0. On September 23rd, Real Monarchs took all 3 points. And on Sunday, actually, that was at home. I apologize. That was at home. And on Sunday, September 28th, the Town FC, San Jose's second club, beat us in Moraga 2-0. Highly touted prospect Cruz Medina scored in that one for the Town. Our next match, Philly, the final match of the LAFC 2 regular season, because they made the playoffs for the very first time, is at Sporting Kansas City, SKC 2, Sunday, October 2nd, to see where the boys will sit in the standings. Congrats to LAFC 2 for making the playoffs for the very first time. Congratulations once again. Love it. And as a reminder, for all your Angel City Football Club needs, please be sure to listen to the Angel City Chicks and to follow them at Angel City Chicks on all your social media platforms. Philly, question. Soccer in 60. Who was your last guest on Soccer in 60? And can you let us know who might be coming up next? Are you allowed to? Do you have any
No,
ideas?
I never know who we're going to have as a guest on our next show until the Wednesday before or Tuesday. We never get the knowledge prior to that. Who we had the last time. If for those of you who are watching the TST tournament, Concava SC, Pat McAfee's team featured a team of a lot of players from the Major Arena Soccer League, the league that I call games in with Jonathan Reimer the last few years. Stefan Mijatovic, otherwise known as Meat, one of the darlings of the Arena Boys. He was the special guest that we had on. Steph is a member of the Empire Strikers, one of the most colorful and dynamic and highly talented personalities and players in the Major Arena Soccer League. He was our guest, but we've had LAFC guests. We had Abraham Romero well before we did not have, well before he got shipped out to Columbus. Let's put it that way. We had Eric Duenas on not too long ago. I don't know who's going to be up this week, but as far as the rotation goes, could be an Orange County Soccer Club player. I don't know, though.
Well, cool. I know playoffs are coming up for USL as well, so that should be fun. Make sure you guys check out Soccer in 60 with Philly. And
Thursdays at 4 p.m. live on the Empire Strikers YouTube page or on KMET AM radio. I know we've got an FM channel. I got to do better plugging this in, but that's where you'll find us. Otherwise, on all your favorite soccer podcast platforms, Soccer in 60, trying to grow it. And also, shameless plug, I've been doing this show about the Bundesliga called Die Fußball Bros, not to be confused with Die Fußball Bros. Die Fußball Bros is an acronym DFB, same as the Deutsche Fußballbund, the governing body of the German soccer and the Bundesliga. Been running it with my buddy and Black Army member, Thilo Zingler. Check that out if you want to learn about German soccer.
You said way too much German way too quickly for me to follow that. But yeah.
Okay, then the other thing we just got to mention is because it's Olivier Giroud's birthday, there's a 9% going off on DoorDash. And funny enough, Carlos Vela made the comment, I guess it came a little too late for 10%. Really funny, by the way.
Wait, he said they should have given us 9% off. Are they actually giving us 9% off?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. Well, buy DoorDash. There you go. We'll buy stuff on DoorDash. Philly, Steve Cherundolo, been stuck on 49 wins for what seemed like forever. LAFC, stuck on clinching a playoff spot for what seemed like forever. And in the midst of all of this, by the way, we are in an absolute gauntlet in our season of 7 matches in 27 days. Now, part of this is because we, of course, did that to ourselves by making the U.S. Open Cup final and winning it. So no one is going to feel bad for us playing 7 matches. 7 matches in 27 days. That is unreal. We are in the 5th of it talking about this match against FC Cincinnati. We were looking to do a lot of different things, Philly. And I'll just say it. This is the Scarf talking here. I did not see this one coming. A fantastic 3 points from LAFC.
Without a doubt, our best road win of the season. Arguably one of our best road wins, period. Not to say that we aren't a team that's great on the road. LAFC this season was fine on the road. I think they rattled 7 consecutive non-losses in that time. FC Cincinnati, not exactly a great team when it comes to playing at home, oddly enough. A team that plays much better on the road. But it had been some time since we as a club visited Cincinnati, going back to 2022. In fact, FC Cincinnati has never even beaten us. So going in there, facing a team that is already clinched, one would think, what are they going to play for? They're going to play for pride. They're going to play to beat us. They're going to play to do whatever they can to jockey up position on the table and maybe by some way, shape, or form, miracle catch Inter Miami. More than likely, probably not. But anytime LAFC comes into the building, that's going to pack and sell out the house. Why? Because we are the club that we are. One of the most successful expansion clubs in Major League Soccer, the Western Conference champions, a team that is a year or so removed from an MLS Cup. And we bring in the likes of Denis Bouanga, who's in contention for the Golden Boot, Hugo Lloris, a World Cup winner, Olivier Giroud, a World Cup winner, and for a lot of Arsenal and Chelsea fans out there, anywhere we go, we're going to have a bullseye on our back. And they brought the crowd. They brought the participation. We saw our buddy Chris Lafferty go there with his Macho Man Randy Savage costume. His video was hilarious. He was going around, don't hate me, I hate Columbus too. And it was hilarious. He had a good time, and yes, a damn good road win for us.
Yeah, look, it's just great that MLS, as Ruben says here in the chat, MLS makes us play this brutal stretch down the road as we gear up for the playoffs. But you know what? I mean, the fact that our boys showed up the way they did, and Philly's going to go through a starting lineup that was very different from our last match, a lot of roster rotation. I, for one, and I mentioned this on One More Sleep, Philly, and you and I were talking quite a bit about it. I was happy to not see Denis Bouanga in the starting lineup for this one, only because maybe that guy, he's like Wolverine and Superman put together. If we can just give him 45 minutes of rest, apparently that's all the damn guy needs. He was absolutely electric in the second half and just pushing all the right buttons lately is Steve Cherundolo. He's not going to get enough credit for the moves that he made during the Open Cup final. He's not going to get enough credit for the moves that he made during this match to keep the roster rotated, to put players in a position to succeed that we might not think players should be in the positions that they are. But you know what? For all those people that continue to doubt Steve Cherundolo, he runs this offense and he has the club buying into a point where we have a player starting at a position that he absolutely has never played before. Philly will talk about that. Other players stepping up in ways they haven't, and Marlon straight crushing somebody, taking one for the team with a yellow card, and that one was kind of fun to see too. Just an incredible job done by this club in a really precarious and tough situation. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah, and FC Cincinnati, what, 12-3-4 against a West opponent in regular season MLS play. 5-0-0 this season alone. Then this record goes back to 2022. But once again, we are one of 5 clubs that FC Cincinnati has never beaten in MLS competition. Believe it or not, FC Skyline Chili's never beaten the Whitecaps. They've never beaten Sporting Kansas City. They've never beaten Austin. Hell, they've never even beaten Carson. So we kept that streak going. And by the way, congrats to Steve for being the first between him and Pat Noonan of FC Cincinnati. Both came into this league at the same time, both vying for 50, and it was Steve that would get the better of Pat. Let's get into the lineup. Scarf, why don't you start off with FC Cincinnati?
Yeah, you mentioned Pat Noonan, a player that had crossed paths with Steve Cherundolo on the U.S. men's national team. Don't forget their match day assistant, Kenny Arena, not just son to Bruce, but obviously on LAFC's bench from 2018 to 2021. So a welcome back of sorts to Kenny Arena, who left us, I believe, when Bob Bradley went to Toronto. I think he left with him. And then when that ship sank, he moved on over to Pat Noonan's staff. So good on you, Kenny Arena. It was nice to see you again. But coming out on a 3-4-1-2, one of the better young up-and-coming goalkeepers. I would slot him right behind Patrick Schulte, maybe right up there with Drake Callender for these U.S. men's national team pool spots behind Matt Turner would be Roman Celentano. He's a really solid keeper. Unfortunately, couldn't do much to keep LAFC off the score sheet twice.
Then I wouldn't say it's unfortunately.
No, I mean for him, for him. Defenders,
he learned. He got a lesson.
That's true. Defenders Ian Murphy and, of course, Miles Robinson, who we know quite a bit about from his days in Atlanta and a player who still does have overseas aspirations, flanking Chidozie Owaziam. And unfortunately for Chidozie, he would leave in this match in the 34th minute with what looks like a season-ending ACL injury, as it was a non-contact one. We'll get there in just a minute. My player to watch, and he gave us all the reason to watch him, was midfielder Luca Orishano. He is a wingback, and he is as deadly offensively as any defender midfielder hybrid that we have in this league. Do not think he is going to be in MLS for very much longer. He had a rocket, a little bit of help from Kai Kamara, had a rocket in this one. Pavel Bucha, Obina Nwobodo, and DeAndre Yedlin round out the midfield lineup. And yes, that is the very same DeAndre Yedlin that was playing back in MLS when it was in black and white. And the forwards, Lucho Acosta, who needs no introduction whatsoever, but we'll give him one, the reigning MLS MVP, who is nearing 30 goal contributions yet again for another season. Yuya Kubo, who might be one of the quietest 10-goal scorers in the entire league, and a player who made us sweat, Kike Oliveira, leaving to FC Como when he came over to FC Cincinnati, was Nico Gioacchini, and he did not play very well in this one at all. Missed an absolute doorstep of a goal. In the 18, we would actually see 6 substitutions, one because of an injury. Alvis Powell, Sergio Santos, Kevin Kelsey, Gerardo Valenzuela, Yamil Assad, and our good friend Corey Baird came in for a cup of coffee and got his jersey a little sweaty. Philly, who's the lineup for LAFC?
Just want to mention one thing about Orishano. Vasco da Gama proven to be a picking ground for Major League Soccer teams. A lot of good players have been coming into MLS from Vasco da Gama, so wanted to highlight that. You talk about DeAndre Yedlin as if he's mainly known for his time in MLS. Let's not forget, he played a significant portion of his career up in Northern England playing for Newcastle as well. For LAFC, they would have 5 changes in the lineup after that U.S. Open Cup win. We're champions of the Open Cup. Yeah. So looking up top, well, let's go through this real quick. Hugo Lloris would get the start. Eddie Segura, Maxime Chenot, Sergi Palencia would be in the three in the back, Omar Campos, Luis O'Brien, Ilie Sanchez. And at first, I didn't realize that Kike Oliveira was playing there. I was looking for him up top, and for a second, I wanted to poke fun at Scarf and go, now I know what it's like to pick a player of the game to watch in one more sleep that doesn't grace the pitch. But in this case, Oliveira would grace the pitch as he would be in the midfield. And then up top, we'd have Matty Bogusz, Kai Kamara, and David Martinez, who has been wonderful, having scored twice in the last 3 games. Kid's doing his thing, and I love that. Getting as many minutes as he can, giving us as much offensive production as he can because, well, as a left footer, he's going to be playing the same side as Carlos. And when Carlos is fit and ready, I don't think Martinez is going to get as many minutes. Coming off the bench, we would see Marlon, 13 minutes worth of action. We would see that not only can he play football, but he can play football in terms of knocking people down. Olivier Giroud, who would get an assist. Ryan Hollingshead. Love me some Ryan Hollingshead. He came into the game. Denis Bouanga, lights out, coming even off the bench. And Timothy Tillman would round out the players coming into the game. Scarf.
Philly.
I had to go to a wedding. Yes.
Hold on.
What?
We didn't spend nearly enough time talking about something you just blew through, kind of.
What?
Kike Oliveira starting at wingback? Kike Oliveira starting on the outside.
Round the outside.
Are you kidding? Kike Oliveira, was that something we would have ever thought at the beginning of the season when we were hoping he would round into form offensively? Now he's in a position where Steve feels good enough to put him at wingback? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. It just goes to show you how not one-dimensional, his train of thought was. I mean, Bob always got criticized for being one-dimensional. It was just the one style of play, and he would never want to adjust. Steve, on the other hand, has shown that he's not only willing to adjust, but he's willing to move the chess pieces. The rook is going to have the role of the bishop. The pawn might be the horseman. All kinds of pieces getting moved around the chessboard, and it seems to work out quite well. We didn't realize how versatile players like Matty Bogusz are because, well, he has had to operate in a position mostly this season in which he didn't play last year, but he's thrived in it and been very successful as a result of that, getting a cap playing for the Polish national team. So this is pretty cool, but it's also a testament to the fact that the players aren't stuck in on their ways either. They're willing to adapt and do whatever it takes to help the team win, and that's extremely important if you want to take a club to the promised land, which is winning trophies.
Philly, not sure you could have made a better analogy with the chess pieces. We always talk about how Steve Cherundolo and John Thorrington are playing chess when everybody else is playing checkers. Completely agree. And again, yes, loved Ryan Hollingshead in this one. More on him in a little bit. But to get to where Ryan Hollingshead got into the game, I guess we should start. And I mean, look, I think Chris Lafferty's favorite player, a lot of our favorite players, at least on the back line, our favorite defender this season may be Maxime Chanot. And when he picked up that yellow card for an absolutely crunching tackle in the middle of the park in the 5th minute, I got a little upset. I was a little surprised. I was like, dude, Maxime, you're going to have to play potentially 85 minutes with a club that just keeps coming at you on a yellow card. And I got to say, his shift that he put in, he comes out for the player we just talked about, Marlon, later on in the match. His shift that he put in after that was absolutely fantastic. He did not make a step wrong and continued to play as aggressively as he did. Unbelievable. Pretty cool. Did not love him, though, picking up that yellow card, Philly, in the 5th minute.
No, but to quote the great hockey show on Hulu, Shorzy, you got to set the tone, and set the tone that he did. We talked about him. He was my player to watch. Who was it that he took down? Well, none other than Luciano Federico Acosta, the 2023 MLS MVP, 2022 top assist provider, best 11, 22, 23, 18, all-star 3 times in a row, had the goal of the year in 2023. Obviously, I've been fluffing this kid enough, but who didn't fluff him was Chanot because he laid him out. But yes, with 85 minutes to go, yes.
Did you see me freak out when a spider just landed on me right now?
Oh, I didn't see that at all. No.
I don't know if anybody was paying attention. I just had a little we're live and I can't really do anything about it, but I had a spider drop down and land on my arm. I came this close to squealing on an episode. That was nuts.
Oh, that would have been incredible, bro. If that thing's radioactive and you could scale buildings, don't let anybody know but me. I'll be your agent.
Bite me. Here we go. All right. Sorry, Philly. I almost squealed.
No, It doesn't take much to get me off the rails, which happens quite a bit. Not only did he pick up a yellow card early on, I mean, there are some things to talk about too, but Sergi Palencia picking up a yellow card in the 29th minute as well for his foul on Gioacchini. I mean, having two players caution this early in the game, in particular, two of our very best in defending, because some kind of scary stuff right then and there. I asked Sergi Palencia a couple of games ago, despite being on yellow card accumulation, does that make you play less aggressive, knowing that at any point, if you get a yellow card, you can't play the next game? And he had a really thoughtful and awesome answer, which basically was like, I don't think about this stuff. If I have to make a tactical foul, I do it. I'm here for the team. I'm not worried about what minutes I'm going to get in the next game. If the team needs me to get that done, I'll get it done regardless. And got it done as he did, because he did take down Gioacchini, but we move forward. There was some action between Chanot and Sergi Palencia's yellow cards, though.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, look, and by the way, I'm sweating through every pore in my body right now. That made me freak out.
Maybe you got bit by a radioactive spider. Ooh, that would be so.
That was a lot. But yeah, Philly, I thought we came out and again, to my surprise, and it's you get on me for doubting them. I know. To my surprise, we absolutely pretty much dominated the first 25 minutes or so of this match. We had Kike creating and forcing a save by Celentano, and then O'Brien following it up with a nice shot from distance. And then David Martinez, look, he felt Miles Robinson towards the end of it, and maybe he should have kicked it back to Kai Kamara, who was cutting. But look, you're going to ask David Martinez to score goals, and you're going to have to take moments like that when he goes full speed ahead in a tunnel. And David Martinez again in the 20th. You're absolutely right. There was tons of good action before the yellow card. Unfortunately, again, we will not be seeing Sergi Palencia against St. Louis, which I think is going to really hurt, if I'm going to be honest. But a very good first 25, 30 minutes or so from LAFC.
Yeah, and then it took 34 minutes for either team to score, and this time it was LAFC. We talked about how FC Cincinnati's 15-0-1 when scoring first. We talked about how LAFC is pretty good on the road and how FC Cincinnati isn't as good at home. But having the first goal scored there in a ruckus crowd, awesome. And you got to give the credit to Lewis O'Brien. He at one point was the meat in an FCC sandwich between Gioacchini and I forgot exactly who was the other player. But he gets by, connects with Kai, goes back to Lewis, then to David, who fires one and beats Celentano. At that point, had a couple of pretty good saves. David is on fire, man, scoring 2 goals in his last 3. He's got 4 goals in all competitions. Lewis is going to get credited with the dime, his first while wearing an LAFC kid. And right after Martinez scored, he gave that Eric Cantona-like kung fu kick in the air for his goal celebration. Be curious to know if the youngster is even aware of the legendary Frenchman. For me, Cantona was a hero growing up. He is the sole and singular reason why I ever started following United, but really good to get on the score sheet first. I did say whoever was going to score first was going to win, and that team was going to win 2-1. Starting to look like a profit.
Philly, I brought that up to talk about. I'm so glad you brought it up. I actually thought of you and Eric Cantona with that celebration for sure when I saw David Martinez. And look, I know David Martinez is going to get a lot of credit, and you gave Lewis O'Brien some shine too. It was Obina Nwobodo, who was one of the better midfielders.
That's right.
In
That's
this
who was
league,
the sandwich for Gioacchini.
That who he got between Lewis O'Brien. But how about Omar Campos on the start of this, right? Intercepts the long ball, heads it perfectly to Lewis O'Brien. Lewis O'Brien tight-roping through. And I am going to say something that I did not think I would say in the same sentence this season, Philly. I thought David Martinez did get ready for it, folks, a Carlos Vela impression with this goal. A couple of touches to his left with that left foot and then hammering it home. How many times have we seen King Carlos do that for us over and over again? If we can get anything like that out of David Martinez, who knows? The sky is the limit for this Venezuelan kid. But I thought it reminded me a little bit, Philly, of Carlos Vela coming from that right side, taking a touch or two with his left, and then hammering it home when he had enough space. I loved everything about this goal. This goal, as FC Cincinnati started to take a little bit more control of this match with possession, This goal coming a little bit against the run of play. And I have to think maybe the injury right before this to Chidozie Awaziem when Alvis Powell had to come in. And by the way, Alvis Powell would have a hell of a game. I think the injury to Awaziem kind of stemmed the tide a little bit for FC Cincinnati. But Philly, the thing that was 100% true after this is that we woke up Cincinnati after that goal.
Yeah, I mean, and it came from the 40th minute up until they scored in the second half. They had the threat with Joe Keeney's header that sailed above the crossbar.
Oh.
There was Elvis Powell right there making a contribution. Then you got 5 minutes worth of stoppage where we could have almost struck first in the third minute of that. Bogusz had a set piece that took a deflection. Chanot gets what we call in Germany a Geschenk, a.k.a. a gift, but it comes off the wrong part of his foot. He misses wide, but we still head into the locker room in a very promising fashion, up 1-0. And this bodes well because FC Cincinnati is always a team that is going to win when they score first, but they did not score first. And as you said, they did claim more possession. We had the higher XG in the grand scheme of it. We took 11 shots with 4 of them on target. Keep this statistic in mind because at the end of the game, it would be completely lopsided. Cincinnati only had 6 shots in the first 45 minutes. They would have a boatload more after the next 45. Let's get into the second half.
Yeah, real quick, you mentioned it, Philly. We got lucky with that Joe Keeney header in the 40th minute. That had an XG of 0.5, which in case y'all don't know what that means, the XG of 0.5 means 50% of the time it works every time. 50%
What
of
is
the
this,
time.
Sex Panther cologne?
There you go. 50% of the time it would have been a goal. So we got very, very lucky. A little bit of a substitution at the half. Sergio Santos on for Nico Gioacchini. Apparently he had to go to his room after missing the header in front of goal.
Go to his room. You're making him sound like he got detention.
And well, I'm going to tell Ryan Hollingshead to go to his room in a little bit. We'll just see.
One
But
would
Denny
argue
Bouanga,
that after you go from St. Louis to Como, Italy, only to get loaned back to Cincinnati, that's your detention right there.
There you go. Denny Bouanga coming on for David Martinez at the half. A great 45 minutes for David Martinez. But now we bring in the big boy, Denis Bouanga. But man, did it not matter, Philly. Over the next 15 or 20 minutes, the pitch was slanted down to FC Cincinnati. Other than one attempt by Kike Oliveira over the next 15 or 20 minutes, Philly, it was all FC Cincinnati, beginning with Alvis Powell going, walkabout 50 yards. I mean, Denis Bouanga, Luis O'Brien, Eddie Segura, Ilie Sanchez, all were just watching him, tiptoe through the tulips. And all of a sudden, Maxime Chanot, who's on a yellow card from the 5th minute, comes flying in and at least makes him redirect just a little. But what a great run from Alvis Powell.
Yeah, he almost had some action in on again 2 minutes later off of a corner. He'd come crashing in with a header that missed. We talked about old man Yedlin, still one of the most stylish players on the pitch. He would end up getting a shot saved by Hugo, and that was a near disaster because had they scored, that would have been all on LAFC being unable to clear the ball away. A little bit of faulty communication there between Oliveira and Bogusz, enabling the FC Cincinnati to maintain things. And then, they are pressing on the gas, aggressive to the metal, pedal to the metal. And in the 61st minute, your player to watch, the man from Vasco da Gama, Luca Orejano, with a mammoth shot from outside of the 18. And it just takes that slightly deflected misdirect by Kai. Kai was trying to clear it, just hit the wrong side of his head. Hugo Lloris just had stone boots on, nothing he could do about that. And 61st minute, they equalize. But this was interesting because from here, this is where we would really see what this LAFC team is made of. Would they crumble like they did on a road loss against the Galaxy? Or would they be resilient to fight for either the point, if it was just playing for the point, that would have been perfectly acceptable, or just go pedal to the metal themselves and fight for the 3? We shall see.
Yeah, Philly, the broadcast mentioned this too, right? It was the first time they had switched off of Luca Orejano on one of those set pieces. Instead of staying with him, his man switched to take the ball, and that left too much space. And the kid, look, go watch his highlight reel from this season. The kid is special, absolutely special, with a howitzer of a boot. And we saw it there. Yes, Kai Kamara deflected it, so Hugo couldn't do anything about it, unfortunately. But I don't even know if Kai Kamara touches it or not. All due respect to Ugo, I think Luka had a beat on it from the start. Congrats to him. LAFC switches things up a little bit, taking Kai out for Olivier Giroud in the 65th minute. Timothy Tillman on for Matty Bogusz. And Ryan Hollingshead, here he comes, 65th minute, on for Kike Oliveira. And normally when you would hear Ryan Hollingshead on for Kike Oliveira, you're thinking that, oh, are they experimenting with Ryan as a striker? But no. They were experimenting with Kike as a wingback. So Ryan settles right in. And I actually think, Philly, even though they were still, pushing ahead was FC Cincinnati, I think what Ryan Hollingshead was able to do was settle us down a little bit. However, in that 69th minute, we almost had ourselves a giggity goal. But Ryan Hollingshead, it's time for you to go to your room as three players meeting in a small phone booth at the top of the 6-yard box. That would be Timothy Tillman, Olivier Giroud, and Ryan Hollingshead. Three players. Nope, nobody calling for the ball. Nobody going to get it. All three collide, get a touch on the ball. It falls to Ryan Hollingshead, who's kind of falling back and skies it over the bar. According to the XG, 28% of the time. That is a goal, but still one that Ryan Hollingshead was pissed that he wasn't able to finish. And we are waiting for that one more goal, Philly, to get him closer to passing Graham Zusi.
You just telling players to go to their room just made me think that as a teacher,
yes,
how many kids in your career have you sent to detention?
Honestly, my students know me as like one they can kind of get away with a little bit more with, maybe.
You're one of the malleable types.
No, I don't know that I'm malleable. I'm just this is exactly what I tell my students on the first day. I am the nicest teacher you will ever have up until I'm not. That's what I tell them. So usually the 6th graders need to figure out that like dividing line between, all right, is this the not or is this but everything else, my 7th graders and 8th graders know by the time they've had me for a full year, they know there are limits. But look, I'm like Jurassic Park's electric fence for the Velociraptors. The Velociraptors are going to keep trying different parts of that fence all throughout the year. But I'm going to make sure that electric fence is up because they want the stability. They need the stability. I'm not ever taking down the electric fence, but I'll let them keep poking at it for the entire year for sure.
So long story long, how many kids have you sent to detention?
I mean, less than 10 in 16 years of being at my school.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Party on. All right.
Party on. All right. 72nd minute, real quick, Philly. 72nd minute, Maxime Chanot comes out after playing 67 minutes by my math on a yellow card. Excellently done by Maxime Chanot. Marlon would not play that many minutes without getting a yellow card. But Marlon would check into the match for his first MLS minutes with LAFC, obviously playing in the Open Cup final. And Philly, he had 0 assists in his long, storied career with Tottenham Hotspur. 0. And in 30 matches, 29 matches, he now has 3 with LAFC. Unbelievable for Hugo Lloris.
Yeah, and this right here is for you Hugo Lloris haters. Take off your Arsenal tinted lenses, folks. This ain't the North London derby. He doesn't have a cockerel on his chest. This distribution is on point, and unlike anything we've ever had, I will include Maxime Crepeau in this conversation, Tyler Miller, Kenneth Vermeer, Buba Lopez, Pablo Cisniega, Jamal Blackman, Charlie Lyons. Who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting any? Abraham Romero, Thomas Asal. Am I forgetting anybody at this point?
Greg Ranjitsingh.
Yes. However could I forget about Greg Ranjitsingh? Oh, yes. That happens when, you go out there and knock back too many drinks. There's plenty of people on here that are question marking you, Scarf. Since you brought him up, why don't you tell everybody who he was?
Greg Ranjitsingh, by the way, he was our keeper for a handful of matches several seasons ago that we brought in from the keeper pool. Did you mention Jamal Blackman, by the way?
Yeah,
I don't know if you
did.
I did. John McCarthy, says Chris Lafferty. But Greg Ranjitsingh, I'm one of the – so Philly is the only person I know with a keeper kit of who was our first interview?
Oh, yeah, Philip Echemadu. But
Philip
yeah, I mean, he
Ejimadu,
never
right?
really got any runs, so couldn't throw him under the bus.
Philly was
And I love Philip.
Philly. It's safe to say Philip Ejimadu is the only person, or that Philly is the only person that owns a Philip Ejimadu jersey that I know of. I actually own a match-worn Greg Ranjitsingh keeper kit from Kick Childhood Cancer from was it 2019 or 2020? I don't even remember how long ago it was, but I have it somewhere up in the collection. He never played for us, but he was our backup for a little bit and part of the keeper pool when we had a whole mess of keeper stuff happening. I believe it was in the Kenneth Vermeer days, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. And I didn't mention J-Mac because I love J-Mac. I'm not throwing him under the bus. Not that I was throwing anybody else under the bus, but just mentioning that. Look, I think Giroux would get maybe the ever so slight tap on it, but it was Denny who absolutely diced his defender, Ian Murphy, and goes near post from an angle that would make the greatest goal scorers this game has ever seen bat an eye. It was a glorious goal, his 18th of the season, which still makes him 3 shy of Christian Benteke. But Giroux would get the credit for the assist. We all know it was really Hugo Lloris that made that happen. But like you said, his entire time at Tottenham, he never had any dimes. He's got 3 in all competitions this year, 2 of them mainly coming, though, from the League's Cup. But what a distribution. It's stuff like that that goes to show you the talent that we have in between the sticks. At that age, he can still play a number of years and play at a very high rate. I'm thinking of the likes of a Gigi Buffon, but what a hell of a distribution, man. I mean, he made that happen. While Denis did have the crazy impossible angle, that wouldn't have happened had we not had a keeper that would have the kind of range that Hugo Lloris would on his distribution.
Philly pulling out my favorite player of all time. Look at that, Gigi Buffon. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do things to make you smile. You do things to make me yak, like bringing up Tom flipping Brady. Birmingham City's Tom Brady right now. If there are any villains out there that listen to this pod from Aston Villa, yuck, you're going to hate Tom Brady now as much as I do.
I brought up Eric Cantona, and we're actually technically you did.
That's true.
Technically I
did. You're right.
I was ready to bring up Eric Cantona for you on this one. I was trying to an olive branch, if you will. Here's the crazy part, Philly. After we score that goal, 73rd minute, they really keep their foot on the pedal for the next maybe 10 minutes or so, FC Cincinnati does. And it really was, as crazy as it seems, it really was Marlon's absolute crunch of a knee yellow card tackle on Von Valenzuela that settled LAFC down of sorts, actually. It stopped the momentum from FC Cincinnati. There really wasn't all that much to talk about, even though 6 minutes of stoppage time became 10 minutes of stoppage time. We got to see our good buddy Corey Baird come on for a last gasp offensive attempt from Pat Noonan. Ugo got a yellow for wasting some time. I think that might be the first or second one we've seen from Ugo all season. And Philly, not a lot happening in stoppage. A very good job by LAFC to see it out. And again, an incredible 3 points for LAFC on the road in this one.
I think the common denominator with us getting road wins is the traveling of Chris Lafferty. We haven't won a game in FC Dallas since Lafferty went to Toyota Stadium or Arena or whatever the flip they call it. He goes to FC Cincinnati and the boys win on the road. I think Chris Lafferty is the common denominator. I know he's in the chat. But, yes, we end up winning 2-1, which is an impressive road victory against a very tough and talented team. Going back to what I was saying for the stats at the end of the first half, do you remember how many shots FC Cincinnati took?
6.
All right. That's how many shots they would end up on target after the conclusion of the game. But they would finish with 22 shots. 22 shots. So like you said, they did put the pedal to the metal. We had 18 also, though, with 6 on target. But the most important thing as well, we converted 1/3 of the time, which is essentially the only thing that matters. They had the higher XG numbers, but who gives a hoot? That's all elementary. We won, and that's incredible because we haven't won an MLS game since what has seemed like forever, a month. August 31st was the last time. That streak is dead, and we also can pat ourselves on the back because this is the 4th time we've won 15 games in a season. And if I repeat the years for you, you're going to have happy memories. 2018, our inaugural year, had a tremendous run as a club first year. 2019, where we won Supporter Shield. That was another year that we won 15 games. More than that, we had a phenomenal year. 2022, we won the MLS Cup. We won more than 15 games. Now, in the year 2024, we also have more than 15 wins. So a trend for sure. 6 postseasons out of 7, sure. But those 3 years, in particular, the last one, I don't know. Just trying to find, as a stock trader utilizing technical analysis would do, just trying to find things on the charts, trying to find those candlesticks, trying to find those units of measure that I can use to quantify, making a bet that LAFC is going to win the cup this year.
I love it. Look, Philly, we're also the only team that has 50 points and a playoff berth in each of the last 3 seasons as of right now. The only team to do it in Major League Soccer, 50 points and a playoff berth in each of the last 3. That's massive. We mentioned 50 wins for Steve Cherundolo. I mean, the thing that worries me, though, right now, Philly, not worries me. The thing that I'm looking at, that is a compact Western Conference table right now. LAFC
Yes.
back up to second place with a nice little X next to our name now that we have clinched a playoff spot. And nobody in the West has clinched anything, obviously, but a playoff spot. But we cannot let up in any way, shape, or form. We have 4 matches left in the regular season and 1 bad 2-match streak. Hell, 1 bad match. And we could see ourselves not in second place, but in 7th place. You heard me right. Not in second place, but in 7th place. Of course, we have 52 points in 30 matches. We need a little bit of help from Carson to win the West. We only have 1 match in hand. That only gets us to 55. They're on 58. So we need a little help from Carson. But in 3rd place, tied with us in points, but with 1 fewer match left in their season, is RSL with 52 points in 31 matches. And then right behind us on 50 points in 31 matches are both Colorado and Seattle. Hell, Vancouver, down at 47 points, still has a match to go with us. So they could gain some ground pretty quickly. It's just, look, LAFC has been playing very well in these last 2 matches. We're getting everybody healthier. We're getting everybody a little bit more rested. But Philly, I talked about it. 7 matches in 27 days, and we still have, we're going to be doing a 1 more sleep tomorrow. We're going to be doing a 1 more sleep on Friday. We have 2 more matches through October 5th. No rest for the weary, St. Louis and Sporting Kansas City, but we can't let up.
No, we can't let up at all. Like you said, it's all way too stinking close. We want that home field advantage. That goes without saying. I mean, actually, we'd rather just want to win the West. I know that's what this team is gunning for, but it just makes the season that much more interesting. Every single game matters between now and decision day when we take on San Jose. By the way, San Jose about to break a Major League Soccer record for goals allowed. They're very stinking close. Like to keep an eye on that. It is tough times in Smurf Village, and we're only going to add to that when we play them at home. Our next home game, like you said, tomorrow against St. Louis, and then that's it until decision day for us at home. We play Sporting Kansas City on the road at Children's Mercy Park this weekend, which means we're all going to be going to watch parties. But it's getting down to the nitty-gritty, folks. We did win a trophy, which takes some monkey off our back, but I would think that this adds to the positivity to all the players out on the team, because now that they feel like, okay, we can get over the hump and win the silverware, this should bode well for us. And it clearly did, because it could have been at 1 of 2 tails going into Cincinnati, and that's, would they just kind of relax, utilize the load management, and just see what they can give, but rest on the laurels of winning Open Cup? Or would they press them and go and try to win 3 points on the road? And they showed guts, they showed resiliency, and they showed character. A lot of teams could crumble losing the lead in a place like TQL Stadium. But LAFC stuck to their guns and won, which was utterly impressive. Why am I surprised? I can't say why I'm totally surprised. Just we didn't have a good run of form as of late. We did win Open Cup, yes, but it was against a team that we struggled with. That was a 12th place team. So you never know how these things could work. But I think this kind of takes a bit out of the doubters. We're in a fine position. Steve becomes the second fastest coach to win 50 games since the year 2000 in just 98 games, and the seventh fastest to reach 50 victories in MLS history. We're going to get Carlos. We have Kike Oliveira's back. He's healthy. We need to get back Aaron Long. Maybe if we're lucky, we get a Jesus David Maria. If we got a full, healthy squad firing on all cylinders, watch out, man. We're going to make some noise.
Yeah, and look, it's a rough season. St. Louis eliminated from the playoffs. We've got them up next, so all they have left on their schedule is to spoil us. Sporting Kansas City eliminated from the playoffs. All they have left is to spoil us. Vancouver, very much in the playoff hunt and qualification. In fact, I think they've pretty much clinched a playoff spot.
Vancouver is X'd. They're X'd. Vancouver, Houston, Seattle, Colorado. Yeah,
so
all X'd.
So it's all about standings for them. They have plenty to play for. And we all know how much San Jose loves to upset the apple cart. San Jose, by the way, clinched the wooden spoon already. Did it play? I didn't hear it. I don't know what's happening right now. All right.
Yeah, nothing like a little bit of canned laughter to laugh at their predicament.
Yeah, look, it's going to be fun, this match against St. Louis. We did everything we had to do, Philly, and we did it well against a very good FC Cincinnati club. So proud of this club. It has to be onward and upward. Otherwise, we're going to get caught, and we're going to have to go on the road more often than we would like. I think we keep our eyes on the prize. We hope that Carson trips up one time over their next 3 matches. And if they do, then we got to catch them and we got to pass them and we got to win the West. I mean, that's still within focus. And we have 4 very winnable games against clubs who want nothing more to do than to beat us.
Yeah. I mean, we're sporting Kansas City's and St. Louis's MLS Cup right now. You talk about the team down in Carson. They've got Colorado on the road as their next game. Then they host Austin. Then they've got Houston. So one would argue they've got a pretty tough schedule ahead of them as well. So fingers crossed that they lose some points and we gain some points. But because, I would like this to end with us winning the West. It won't be a supporter shield, but it could still be us winning the West. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, just want to mention one last thing. Tristan Blackman, the question in the chat, he didn't retire. They just re-signed a new 2-year deal through 2027. The dude is getting paid by Vancouver Whitecaps. Philly, huge 3 points, a wonderful episode 330. And, oh, by the way, we were able to do it in under an hour. Woo!
And the Mets made the playoffs. Thank you, Francisco Lindor. I think this is the only time where a doubleheader has occurred on the final day of the season, and both teams celebrate with champagne in the locker room. Kind of funny if you think about it. Braves won game 2. We won game 1. The only people that are angry right now are the D-bags. I mean, the Diamondbacks. It's been a good day.
You mean the team that Dodgers celebrated in the pool of? Is that the team?
Yeah, them. But for me, Mets don't. You want to talk about no rest for the weary? Mets play the Brewers tomorrow. Yeesh.
Yeah, you know what? The playoff train runs right through Citi Field, baby. That's what I love. You guys, thank you all for all of your support across all the different platforms. The chat was absolutely electric. Congrats to LAFC on a big 3 points. Onward and upward we go. And Philly, you know how we like to end every single one of our episodes as Philly turns the light out on himself. Bye-bye.